Ta-da! I'm here. Not that you guys were waiting. Well, maybe you're waiting because you're here watching. But man, it's been a crazy week and have not, as you guys know, been able to stream. I was really bummed that I didn't get to stream yesterday. I was all set to go, but had an emergency come up. Everything's okay, but had an emergency come up, had to be preoccupied and address it. And unfortunately, it cut into the rest of the evening. So that's how it goes sometimes. There's some days I can defend my Wednesday comics as best as I can and push the rest of life to the side. But yesterday was not one of those days. And I almost didn't get a chance to stream today. I had a couple appointments in the morning and was meeting up with a couple people all over the city. And I was like, well, if I can get back by a relatively reasonable time, I can stream. And I was cutting it close. So by the skin of my teeth, I'm here. And I'm calling it My Wednesday Comics, even though it's Thursday, because we've got so much that I wanted to talk about yesterday that I have here today. And some of that has to do with Mr. Monkey Boy 1969, who was in the chat to begin with. First one in the chat, Mr. Monkey Boy 1969.
How do you say monkey in French?
He was bringing up Frank Robbins, who I don't know how I discovered his work. It must have been just kind of looking through images or people posting on social media or whatever. But I started seeing some of his work and I was like, wow, this guy's got an interesting style. And I'd been exposed to his work before through, I believe it was like Steve Canyon strip, which was like an old strip back in the, when did he do Steve Canyon? No. Johnny Hazard, not Steve Canyon. Or did he draw Steve Canyon? I think it was Johnny Hazard. Anyway, one of those strips. That was in the 40s. So not super familiar with his work. But then I saw some of his work that he had done for The Shadow and Batman. And I was like, wow, this is a really interesting, very bold graphic style, which appealed to what I like. And so I started digging around for what Frank Robbins has worked on. And Mr. Monkey Boy wrote a little note on X when I had put out that post and told me about a couple things. And then just so happened that I found a book by Frank Robbins in my weekly adventures of like hunting for comics. So anyway, that's going to be one of the things we look at today. But rewind. Good to see all you guys. Like I said, I was really bummed yesterday not being able to stream. And a big part of it was just catching up with you all because it's been a while since we've talked or chat. And so here we are. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining me. I know that I think Shant has a stream coming up tonight, his Pizza Live stream. So I think this is going to wedge right nice a nice little precursor right before that. So that'll be awesome. And all of you guys, make sure you go and check out Pizza Live. I think he's got a good one coming up. What else? Oh, my name is Rocky Ballesteros. Welcome to my stream. We're going to talk about some comic stuff that I picked up. So there's a mixture of comics, the weekly comics that I pick up, which I usually go every Wednesday to a comic book store. And also, depending on where I go, whether that's a used bookstore, which I did this last week, I found a nice little back issue there. Or where did I find these other back issues? Oh, there was like a used bookstore, which is only open weird hours, and I found some great stuff there, and I found a couple of cool things we're going to look at. And yesterday, I went to two stores. One, which I showed in the trailer ahead, Invisible Jet Comics. Haven't visited Invisible Jet Comics in a long time, actually, if I were to be honest. So it was really good to step back in there and see Chris in her store. She's got it all set up. For those of you who have joined in my streams before, you know Chris had her building where her comic book store was subject to a fire, and there was some water damage that made it into her store. And so she had to shift and move all of her inventory a block and a half away from where her store was and set up all over again. And so it was a little crazy, and I know it's been a lot of work for her to do it, but this is the first time I've been back into her store where I feel like it was all settled in. And it looks great. And it was just really nice seeing her. And she even said, oh, like I recommended your stream to one of my friends who's a teacher and instructor, and I told her to show it to her classroom. So that was pretty awesome that she did that. So yeah, I went to Invisible Jet Comics, picked up a couple of current books, and then I decided to swing by Amazing Fantasy, Frank's shop, which was the other trailer I showed before this stream. And I swear, whether it's Frank subconsciously listening to my stream and then putting out stuff he knows I'll buy, or is it the algorithm that we all live in that invades our entire lives these days? But every time I walk into Frank's store in particular, I'm like, I was just looking for this, or I was just talking about this on stream. So there was something that I bought, which I was like, wow, like I was kind of thinking about this book, or not the genre, but the category of where this book came in. So anyway, I picked it up. We'll look at that later today. So yeah, it's a lot of good stuff. It's a lot of mishmash of my usual sources of where I get my comic books and other things, but it's really fun. And that is why I wanted to stream, and I was bummed that I couldn't yesterday. So Mr. Monkey Boy 1969 is here. What's up, man? Yeah, I did see the Frank Robbins post, and we'll get to that soon. Mark's Music Obsession. Oh, the other thing that your sound cue, Mark, totally reminded me. Like last night, I got to a part of the what took up my time is last night I got to go watch a musical. It was the Back to the Future musical, which you would think like, wow, that's a weird thing to make a musical about. But it was really entertaining, and it had a lot of cool like set tech kind of stuff. But one of the things they had was where I got some of that sound clip of yours, Mark, was where Marty McFly and his guitar and like the wind up, and he hits the guitar. They did the same thing in the musical. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, the translation from movie to musical was interesting. But it was fun. It was a fun thing to watch. So anyway, I thought of you once he hit that guitar. I was like, oh, that's Mark's sound cue. Cranberry Langers, what up, man?
This is a cranberry full of power.
Cranberry Langers does not believe that this is really me doing a stream. It's been that long. He says, prove it. Don't believe you. These could be pre-recorded and AI-generated text responses, possibly, all possible. I could be an AI avatar right now, and the artificial intelligence is responding to your comments live. Who knows? Who knows what's real anymore? I actually saw a AI-generated Star Wars trailer. Usually when you see those, like when they take AI and stuff that we love, like Star Wars or Flash Gordon or Batman or whatever, you name the movie, somebody creates a fake trailer for it using AI. Usually it's like, oh, it's as if Star Wars, but with a retro 50s style to it. Like they'll alter it a bit. This one I saw, they just totally embraced it being as if it was like another Star Wars movie, but it was like super violent. I don't know if any of you guys seen that. If I had the link available, I'd post it in the chat, but it's like really violent. So it's like Star Wars and you see like stormtroopers and they're fighting and there's Ewoks and everything, all the classic imagery from Star Wars. But when they battle, it's like they're like exploding bodies and like blood is going everywhere. And I was like, whoa, like that's not something you normally see in Star Wars. So it was a little shocking, but arguably, and the point of at least the post that I saw about this trailer was, there goes the industry. Like it's that good. And it wasn't great, but it was better than some trailers I've seen that are not AI. So I'll just leave it at that. You guys all saying all right. Mark's Music Obsession says 488 subs. Nice. Yeah, that's where we are. 488. That is 12. Count them, 12 to 500. What are we going to do? I got to get on the figuring out what's going to happen at 500 because it's starting to creep up really fast. It's slow, but it's not slow, if that makes any sense. So yeah, we're close to 500. I'm super excited about that. The other metric is I got to get the public watch hours open, up at the same time, which it'll probably hit around the same time. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think you have to do a couple things, like you got to submit the request and blah, blah, blah. So I don't think it's going to be instantaneous when we hit 500, but it'll be exciting nonetheless. And I'm really excited to make that marker. So it's coming up. 12 more unsuspecting subscribers can push us over. Might have to read Faceless again. What's Faceless? Did I miss that? Oh, whew, thank you for confirming. John, hey, John.
He goes, what's your name? He goes, John.
I also thought of John this weekend because I watched the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special, and they basically threw everyone in the kitchen sink at that special. It was pretty good. There were some pretty good bits, and I think the best parts of that I saw were some of the older casts coming in and kind of reprising their roles. But I thought of you, John, because your soundbite comes from John Mulaney, like a John Mulaney stand-up, and so he was in a few skits in the anniversary special. So I was like, oh, that reminds me of John. You guys are everywhere. John says, Emo gonna be frothy. She's not here for this. Oh boy, we can't have that, can we? Hopefully people aren't worse for wear, Rocky. Yeah, it's sometimes life, if you're talking about like the thing that threw me off from doing my stream yesterday. Yeah, sometimes there's just things in life that come up and you're just like, I gotta deal with this. So that was one of those days. But it's okay. We'll be all right. Life will continue on. John says it's cold out. It's cold here, 32 degrees. 32 degrees. Man, we have a beautiful, beautiful day today. Today it's, because I was out most of the day. Today, right now it's 59 degrees. It's beautiful, sunny. It's really nice. Mark's Music Obsession says, cold here again, John? Oh, bummer. Johnny Hazard, thank you, Mr. Monkey Boy 1969. Awesome One is here.
Yes!
That's awesome.
Very cool to see you, awesome one. Nice seeing you again. It's been a while. Culture Casino, wrong channel. Shantz is in little less than 3 hours, Rocky. Think you'll be able to get through the chat by then? I don't know, but we'll have to end it before Shantz starts. I'll give you guys a little bit. I'll give you like a bathroom break right before his stream starts. But we'll probably butt up towards the head of his stream. Brahma Bull? What are you watching? That was a great question, John. Do you come with a decoder ring? An awesome one decoder ring? That's a great question. James Caddis, right channel, wrong group? Gothics, if you're still streaming. Yeah, I can't decide if I'm telling you things or going through chat. It's right. It's kind of both. You guys are permeating my life's algorithm. Frank Frazetta has a store? Really? Does he? I know that his daughter, one of his daughters or granddaughters is really active on social media. And I think she runs his whole estate and like selling his stuff. So check it out. I believe her name is Sarah Frazetta. And yeah, she's pretty active on social media. Awesome one had snow? Goodness. Yeah, we are on opposite sides here of the weather spectrum. Tossed over for a musical. That wasn't the thing, the non-negotiable that I had to take care of. But it's not like I could have streamed afterwards because then I had to go to the musical. So my apologies. But you know, if something, no, that's not true. Would I pick comics over musicals? Probably. But musical tickets are more expensive than comics, so you can't skip those easily. So yeah, it's just a colliding of my schedules. It's always like that. It's like I feel like I carve out a little bit of space, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, can you do this? Oh, this needs your attention. This, blah blah blah. Oh, somebody comes. It's a lot. So I'm like, I'm just leaving. I literally was going to hit go live when I got this email that I had to take and deal with a certain issue. So it was that close. We almost made it. Very cool, Rocky. Would be interesting to see. Yeah. Decisions. Wait for Rocky to catch up or eat dinner. You'll starve, John. Jeremy from G&G played an AI video of Trump and Elon and Vance rocking it out as patriotic muscle men, and it looked almost real. It's crazy. I've seen many. I think politics are like one of the main things I keep seeing of AI generated stuff. It's like, yeah, Trump, Elon, Kamala at the time when the elections were going on, Biden, Kim Jong-un, Putin, any political figure has been thrown into the AI wood chipper. And it's kind of crazy. It's kind of, oh, and this Star Wars trailer that I was watching, for those of you who want to try and find it, they merged like Star Wars and like Arnold Schwarzenegger into it. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Faceless in the Family. Oh yeah. So you know that artist, Matt Lizanowski? I don't know if you know, but he has a YouTube channel too, and he streams himself drawing sometimes. And his drawing streams are really interesting. The ones I've seen, at least the ones I've seen, he doesn't talk that much, but he has this crazy pen and ink hatching technique. And it's really fine line, really detailed, and like he kind of builds it up. But he's been posting relatively more frequently in the last month or two than I've seen before. So if you like his style, look him up, Matt Lizanowski. Boop boop dee boop. Comrade Sammy. I almost missed that it was Comrade Sammy. What's up? Hi, hello. I have arrived. We can start now. I've kind of been here lurking. Comrade Sammy's already been lurking here. Sammy is always here. That's right. She got some snow too. Wow. I saw an image. I don't know if this was real or not. Isn't that sad? Now that we see images on social media or online, we're like, is that real? Like we're constantly questioning the reality of images just because technology has gotten so crazy that it can make stuff look real as far as a quick glance or even longer time than a quick glance. But I think this was real, and it looked like a street in, I want to say the East Coast, flooded and then it froze over. So it was like a frozen lake at the side, at the height of side mirrors of like cars, but it was frozen. It looked crazy, and I was like, what the heck just happened? So I don't know if that's real, but it looked real. And if so, that is nuts for weather. I agree, Rocky musicals suck. Oh, John, you just haven't seen the right one. Pirates of Penzance was a good movie. Penzance, maybe? Pirates of Penzance? Poor planning on your part does not a crisis in my part make. It wasn't poor planning. It was an emergency. It really was. All right. Did I catch up? Shh, don't jinx it. Had snow for the past 2 days. Crazy. That's bizarre. I mean, we had a huge rain that came through here. Remember I was talking about the atmospheric river last time? It came in. It wasn't really an atmospheric river. It really wasn't. It never, maybe once that they've used that term. I think it was the first time they used that term. Did I feel like it was a lot of rain. But ever since that they've used that or bomb cyclone, it hasn't really been that big of a deal. I probably jinxed it right now. Excuse me. I gotta wipe my nose. All right. So I act like I didn't go up in Tennessee and go to school in Rhode Island. Are you talking about the weather? Yeah. I did grow up I didn't really grow up in Tennessee. I was just there for a short amount of time in my childhood. And that's when I crossed over with Shanth. So it was only like a couple years. All right. Yes, cold weather baffles him now. It doesn't baffle me. It's just because it's so beautiful here, so nice here. It's hard to fathom that you guys are dealing with snow. All right, shall we get to some comics? Let's get to some comics. Let's do it. Makes me happy. And the other thing, it's like when I do have spare time and I haven't, like I miss streaming or whatever, I'm able to actually sit down and read my comics. So that's been really good to like catch up on stuff that I've been weeks behind on some books. It's been really nice to catch up on them and feel like I'm like my piles are going down. They're staying piles, but I'm moving them to another location in my room. I read those, and I had to make sure part of my I don't want to say methodology, but part of my thinking is like, I need to read the books at least before the next issue comes out. Like when I have backlog of 2 issues of the same book, that's pretty bad. I'm really behind. So I try and read them at least quicker than the next time the issue comes out, which is usually in a month or so. John says, I thought you grew up in Tennessee. I'll have to update my log. Never mind. I don't have one. Scary. All right. Let's get to some comics here. John's going to go get dinner right when we're going to start with comics, which is weird, John, but all right. One could argue you're not really here for the comics. You're here for the conversation. All right. Let me get to this view. Wait, am I in the right here? Here we go. Are we focused? That's always an issue. That's so weird. I totally checked my focus before this started, and I didn't bump the camera, and now I had to readjust the focus. That's weird. Only had 2 years with your bro friend. That's right. Speaking of which... Shanth would know. Shanth would know. He knows when my ego goes unchecked. And so, you know what? That's all right. That's all right. Shanth who? I don't know. Who's this Shanth guy? What's up, Shanth? Shanth, I was telling everybody, I'm like the appetizer before the pizza tonight, okay? I made sure as I was looking at streaming that I could fit in this nice little nook right before Pizza Live. Didn't want to cross over the juggernaut that is Pizza Live. So everybody from here is going to easily transfer over to your stream, Sean, once we're done. How you doing? What was the thing I was going to say? Sean has been working crazy hard. Posted up some... Oh, that's the other thing. I hope I didn't run out of time. Sean posted up some new t-shirt designs. Check those out. The link in his description of his channels, his TeePublic link. He posted up some new images, right, Shanth? Spring Ball shirt and a Nosferatu shirt looked awesome. I know there was a time limit on a discount, and I got to... After this stream, I'm going to check that out. Yeah. So, what? There was something else. What am I? I'm blanking. I'm totally blanking. It'll come to me. Anyway, here we go. G.I. Joe number 4. Let's start here. Yo Joe, always enjoyable, really fun. At the end of the last time G.I. Joe number 3, we were introduced to Tomax and Zaymot, who are some of the funnest. I remember as a kid loving those characters. Crazy enough, like, I love that their names are reverse of each other. I love the idea if you hurt one, the other guy feels it. Like, all that kind of stuff, like twin powers or twin connection, is amazing. Speaking of twins and Sean. Not that he is a twin or that he's my twin, but he has twins. So anytime anybody has twins, I'm always thinking of Tomax and Zaymot. But they appeared at the end of the last issue, so it was kind of a cool cliffhanger. And I'm assuming in this issue, we're going to see more of them happening. My gosh, the crazy colors here. Jordi Belair, she's bananas with her colors. Here we go, Tomax and Zaymot. This is fun, and they continue to do with this coloring technique, like this crazy offset. It almost feels like you're looking through 3D glasses or something like this. It feels like the coloring is like shifted offset printing. It's kind of a cool technique. And the colors that Jordi Belair picks are quite unique. Not what you would think for G.I. Joe, but I've enjoyed it. I think it's really neat. Sean says, yep, lots going on. I like the spring ball shirt. That's right, I do too. Awesome one's having dinner time with some doo-wop. Nice. See you later. Awesome one. I believe this is Ripper. This guy's name is Ripper, I think. Wow. Looks like Sniper Lady, kind of hardcore. I don't know what her name is. Yeah, this is Ripper. What is this girl's name? I don't know. I guess she's part of the Dreadnoughts too. Like, look at these. Like, there's also like a texture. I don't know if you guys can see that texture. Can you see that like crazy? Not really. It's hard to see. It's like a dot matrixy kind of texture. Yeah, I can't focus any more than that. There's like this like zipatone texture that they put on here. But such an interesting choice of like blocking out the color like this. I mean, I know it's a skylight or like a passageway for the helicopter day, but it's really bold. Mark's Music Obsession says, wish my appetite was better and my sleep schedule was better. Oh, Mark, I'm sure you're, just give yourself time, man. Like dealing with a lot of adjustments for you, as you know, always thinking about you and kind of your grieving process and just the curveballs that life has dealt you. I'm sure it's a huge, huge life change. One of the guys I met for lunch today is an old friend of mine. I haven't seen him in a while. He was actually my best man at my wedding. Sean might remember him. He's my friend who's my best man at my wedding, and I haven't seen him in a long, long time. But every time we get together, it's like as if like we pick up really quick, and even though we don't talk that often to each other when we don't see each other. But when we do meet up, it's like you catch up. It's like one of those things. There's certain people in your lives. Sean's like this too with me, but I'm sure all of you guys have friends in your lives who, even though you don't see them for a long time, when you do, it's like as if you never skipped a beat. And so it was like that with us, and we had a long lunch, and it was just catching up. We were just talking about getting older and dealing with just life's changes and, parents getting older or kids getting older and just where we are in life. So it was great. You kind of need those touch points. And then we also kind of had we started remembering and reminiscing about some old stuff, and it just reminded us of like how crazy we were when we were younger and the things we liked when we were younger and how much we've changed and how much we haven't changed. So it was a really fun reunion of sorts. I hope to see him again soon. But yeah, that was just kind of one of those things. So just thinking of you, Mark, in where you are right now and all the adjustments, like it's crazy. Like life just keeps moving on, even though big changes happen. Sometimes we don't want those big changes to happen, but like life just keeps going. Yeah, look at these colors. These are, it's like the color theory here. It's like red and green palette, right? A complementary palette, but it's really muted, both the greens and the reds here. I would love to know what she's thinking when she's picking these colors. Like, I haven't seen many interviews with her, I would love to hear her thought process on how she picks these colors, because they're so bizarre, so different, so unique. I like it, but at the same time, I'm like, what is the thinking behind there? It really sets the mood in a different way too. Anyway, cool. G.I. Joe number 4. The hits keep coming. Seems like the Joes got caught by Cobra Commander here at the end. Oh. Then there's this little ad. We talked about this last time, this Battle Beast ad for the Invincible Universe. I'm curious about this. I don't know anything about it, but I'm curious about this particular book. Check this out, Shant. The Mummy, Universal Monsters, they're doing... I know they've released the Creature from the Black Lagoon. They were doing a book, I think a mini-series on recently, a recent release or revamp of this. This is the first I've seen for The Mummy. I know Shant's a huge fan of the Universal Monsters. So, don't know if it's any good. G.I. Joe number 4. Mark's Music Obsession. Hang tough, brother. You've got this. That's right. You guys are on dinner talk. All right. G.I. Joe number 4. Okay, next book. Current book. Batman and Robin Year One. So the awesome thing about this is, and the huge draw for this book with me is Chris Samney's work, and we've talked about it a number of times through these books for this series, Batman and Robin, and then other stuff that Chris Samney's done. But I didn't know this until I did a little bit of reading up on Frank Robbins, but I think Chris Samney is a huge fan of Frank Robbins' work. So that makes a lot of sense when I put 2 and 2 together, looking at his artistic style. At the end of the last book, it ended almost the similar shot, but Robin was being sent to school. So yeah. And then there is a outside threat coming to Gotham, a new threat that's coming to Gotham. They kind of talked about that character in the last issue a little bit more, but I'm assuming it's going to be more here. The overrunning story in this Batman and Robin series is kind of this father-son relationship that Bruce Wayne has with Dick Grayson. And Alfred's kind of in the middle there. But on top of that is like Robin coming into his own as Robin, and how he handles the new responsibilities, and then how Batman parents him in that. And as always, Chris Samney has great artwork, great clean artwork, throwback. And again, knowing that he likes Frank Robbins a lot makes a lot of sense when you look at this book. Great colors, great colors. I think it's either Hollingsworth. Oh, Mateus Lopez is coloring this book. And he's the same colorist on Gotham by Gaslight, the Rafael Grampa book. Great colorist. Now we're introduced to Clayface. Clayface is such a cool character. One of the best episodes of Batman the Animated Series, the original Batman Animated Series, was the Clayface episode. He was such a cool character. Here's the other threat. Wow, they're advertising Absolute Flash, which they're adding into the Absolute line. Excuse me. Cool stuff. Batman and Robin Year One, number 5. There we go. John says, I listened while getting dinner, Rocky. Figured your covering the comics was a good time. Chicken dumplings. Yeah, that sounds good. Creature from the Black Lagoon is my favorite monster of all. It's a great character design. For the time, even now, you look at that character design, you can almost not top like what they were doing with that. And when you think about when they made that, and for that movie, the makeup design and the costume design was like totally amazing. Looks like Bruce Timm, yeah, for sure. I think that clean animated style, Samney's work feeds into that for sure. Like can lives in that and has been influenced by that. Shanthan Jetty says great monster. Yeah. Creature Commandos. I haven't watched the series. Is it good? Have you guys watched this series? I know it's like really over the top, but I have not watched this series. That guy totally looks like Junkyard Joe from Ghost Machine, and then this guy looks like Geiger, right? These two. Very interesting. But yeah, so I don't pick up the comic or read or watch the animated series. Mark's Music Obsession says, one of the head sketches in my treasure trove, maybe, Shanth? Ooh, have Shanth do a Creature from the Black Lagoon. That would be awesome. I think Shanth has done a Creature from the Black Lagoon, I believe. Jeffrey Beats from Down Under. Such a great backlist of villains in Batman. I love the Batman animated series. Creature Commandos was okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been totally interested in watching that. I should give it like an episode or two to see. But Batman the Animated Series is, yeah, one of the top American animated series that I've ever seen in my life. And it influenced me a lot. My own love of animation, comics, everything. Well, there you go. Mark's Music Obsession. Shanth says, I'm down. That would be amazing. Anything monster, get Shanth to draw. That would be amazing. If you have an original drawing coming up, yes. But I'm pretty sure you've done Creature of the Black Lagoon, right, Shanth? Good day, Jeffrey Beat says. Yep. It's an amazing design and very scary and yeah. It's like one of those creature designs that it's like you could have never come up with it yourself, but it's like so perfect for the character. It's like up there with like the alien, the xenomorph from Aliens for me, or like the Predator, or those kind of iconic creatures. For somebody to say, "Oh yeah, it's the Creature from the Black Lagoon," like where do you even begin with that? And it's still amazing. It's not one of those designs you look back and go, looks kind of dated. No, it still looks amazing. All right, so I happen to... Okay, so we've been talking about Frank Robbins. And I did a little bit of like research of Frank Robbins. But he was a painter, and I saw a couple of great YouTube videos about Frank Robbins' career when I started seeing his artwork and like going like, wow, who is this guy? And some of the stuff that I saw that he did, it lives during this time, right? Where like Joe Kubert and Kaluta and all those guys, he's contemporaries with them. But I didn't know that he actually started off, like he was an artist and he was trained as an artist, but he actually started off in comics, on Johnny Hazard, but then when he got into like DC Comics, he came as a writer first, which is bananas when you see how good of an artist he was, that he came in as a writer. And then I believe that there was I can't remember if it was with The Shadow or if it was with Batman. I think maybe both. But at the time, it was very uncommon to see somebody be both the writer and the artist. And he was one of the first to do that. So in my research of looking for what stuff Frank Robbins has done, I know he's done some work on like Captain America. Some of the like images I saw online that he did in Captain America are incredible. He did some work on the Invaders series, which was that came out in like the 70s. And he was actually, in my research, he was one of the co-creators of Union Jack, that character Union Jack. He worked on Ghost Rider and The Shadow, obviously, and then Batman, did a lot of work on Batman. So I just, on my list of like books to get, or like my wish list that I keep on my phone, I made a wish list of issues of the Shadow that he worked on because his shadow work is incredible. This is a Joe Kubert cover, which is great, but his shadow work is awesome. And this one, number 9 of the Shadow, this came out in 1975. I think this was the last issue that he did on the Shadow. But I happened to be in this bookstore, very old bookstore that they carried most. Usually when you go into used bookstores, they carry like graphic novels. That's kind of the thing you find, at least in the used bookstores around me. But this particular used bookstore, which I don't visit that often, had a lot of back issues, floppies. And I was flipping through their floppies, and they were like old floppies, like Silver Age, Golden Age floppies. And so on a whim, as I looked at my wish list, I'm like, it was in alphabetical order, their floppies. So I was like, I wonder if they have any Frank Robbins Shadow. And sure enough, there they are. Like, this is what I talk about, like being in the algorithm of my brain, like the world reading my mind. But because I literally had put down these Shadow issues of Frank Robbins in my phone as a wish list. And like, what are the chances I would find a store that carried old back issues of this time period and would have this one? So yeah, I found this. It wasn't super expensive, but it wasn't cheap because it's so old. But the thing I love about Frank Robbins stuff is, I like it better when he inks himself. He didn't ink himself in this one. It's an inker by the name of Frank McLaughlin. And the reason why I like Robbins' work inked by him is it's a lot more expressive. It's a lot more raw and rough and like kind of brushy and like aggressive. And this feels a little bit more cleaner. But it's still fun. And he has really unique anatomy poses for his characters. You'll see in a second. There's a couple pages in here. I love the way he draws his women too. They're like such that time period. And yeah, apparently Chris Samney looks at Robbins a lot, and I can see why. He spots blacks super nice and has like really lanky kind of dynamic figures. Does these wild stretched out poses. Sean says the Shadow. That's right, the Shadow. Like, look at this crazy, like this is not your typical Mike Kaluta Shadow, or like, and from what I read and this YouTube video I watched, they were saying a lot of people had a negative reaction to his work on both the Batman and the Shadow because it was so different from what was standard. Like, you're talking about Neil Adams time period, Joe Kubert, and his stuff was very different and very unique, which I think is why I like it so much. This feels like an Eisner kind of layout here with him and the eyeballs. He has these huge forehead characters. I love it. John says, draws women such that time period. Kate Classy. That's right. That's right. They're so like sexy, and something about the faces. Steranko's like that with his ladies too. Jeffrey Beats says, what a find. How is the story? I haven't read it yet. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the story is. He didn't write this one. Michael Uslan did, which Michael Uslan has written a lot of stuff, and I think he's written films too. Let me see. Yeah, he's a film producer. No. Michael Uslan wrote Shadow, Charlton Comics. He worked with Gene Colan, Richard Corbin. He wrote some Spirit stuff. That's right. That's where I remember. Oh yeah, and Swamp Thing. He was a big guy in Swamp Thing. Oh, he worked on Batman the Animated Series too? Oh, interesting. So yeah, Robbins did not write this story. I don't know how he is as a writer too. So I'm just dabbling into his body of work, but I'm really liking it a lot. Love these crazy shapes. Super exaggerated. It does feel there's some like Eisner in there, Eisnerisms in there too. But yeah, the way that he uses shadows, spots blacks, and his character poses are awesome. And if I can find more of his stuff, you guys can see, I mean, you can Google it too, but like his brushwork adds so much to his artwork. And I feel like it's missing a little bit in this one. But you still can see like his awesome anatomy, his awesome characters. It's like the craziest story of like a character like the Shadow, right? We always picture him coming out of the shadows. He's got guns blazing, like laughing all the time. 2 guns, which is the coolest imagery, like that like that's what I expect out of the Shadow. But then for him to have the final battle with a guy on a tightrope on top of what? Is this like Niagara Falls? And for him to like knock him off and that's the end of that guy's life. Like, what a way to end a story. Tightrope walking. I love the angularity of his poses too. The YouTube video that I watched about Frank Robbins, this guy who's examining Frank Robbins and his body of work and stuff, he was comparing a lot of his comics work with his painted work and examples of his painted work, because Frank Robbins was an amazing painter as well, and he would like compare the poses, and he was really into these like very contorted body poses, like you can see here. It's like not a typical heroic pose. It's cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. When I see pages this yellow too, I love to smell the old comic book paper. I love the coloring in this too. They just say art by Frank Robbins, so I'm assuming he did the colors. Yeah, it's amazing. Blast from the past. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? Sean says, I want Rock to do a short story of my shadow-inspired character, Paul Castor. Wow! I want to do a short story of your shadow-inspired Paul Castor. Let's do it. You skipped right over my Chat Ninja reference. I did? Where? Oh, who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? Is it the Chat Ninja? Nice. It could also be the Shadow or whoever that is. She's like, whatever. Was that Jeffrey Dahmer smiling? The look who's smiling now ad? I wouldn't be shocked. Oh, that's pretty close. That's pretty close. What is this an ad for? One of the things I love, they're doing a lot of like facsimile editions right now. And I love that they keep the old ads in there as well. I bought some facsimile editions, and I love that they keep the old ads. But what is this an ad for? Because it's such a snapshot of the time. Wow. Okay, guys. Here, I'm going to read this out to you. I don't know if you can see it. I can zoom in a little bit. This is good stuff right here. Sometimes a man sets his ambitions high enough to make skeptics smile, but let me get his face in there. How often he gets the last laugh One outstanding LaSalle graduate writes, at the time I started studying with LaSalle, I was working as a factory clerk. Before completing the course, I was transferred to cost accounting and my salary was increased by $1,800. Wow. Now, having completed the course, I'm in charge of the department and on my way. LaSalle's course helped me pull myself out of a boring and ill-paid job into a position of opportunity. Look who's smiling now. So you can mail the coupon, and you can pick any one of these degrees. This tiny, tiny coupon. LaSalle Extension Museum. That is a weird thing. That is a weird thing to advertise in a comic book. But I guess, let's see, which one would I pick? I would pick no comic book artist, huh? That's odd. Drafting? Maybe drafting? What? High school. You could click high school. Stenotype? Oh, writing. You could do fiction, art training. That's kind of cool. Okay, this would be I would do like art training, writing, fiction, and maybe drafting would be my picks. Actually, if I was smart, I would do like a business degree, business management, maybe financing. That's hilarious. But it does look like Jeffrey Dahmer, though. Evil Knievel. Awesome ads. Great. Anyway, the shadow. Sorry, you got a little off track there. The shadow knows I got off track. Mighty Geek Studios, what have we here? Looking at a little blast from the past is what we have here, Mighty Geek Studios. We are looking at Frank Robbins' work on the shadow. Do you know Frank Robbins' work? Mighty Geek Studios? Good stuff. Really good stuff. He's a new old artist that I'm starting to get into. So I'll be on the hunt for more issues of his work, hopefully. I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to buy most of those online eventually because nobody's keeping back issues other than this used bookstore I got that from. Nobody's really keeping back issues that old, unfortunately. And I just had an interesting conversation with Frank at Amazing Fantasy this last time he was like, I don't know how long floppies are going to last. And I'm like, don't say that. Like, I'm going to set a poll I'm going to put a poll in the chat. I love floppies. And I'm curious to see what you guys think. I'm going to just say, do you like floppy comics? Floppies. Individual. Or should I say, yeah, I would just say, I'm just going to say, do you guys like floppies? So floppies meaning individual comics, like, individual issues, like, you guys know what floppies are, like this, versus what is the common, becoming more and more cost effective, I'd say. More popular is graphic novels, digest size stuff. How would I say? Not do you like floppies? I'll say keep floppies. So let me know what you guys think. I love them. I love them in particular. And as you know, I buy both, depending on the book. I had mentioned this last time I streamed. Sometimes I'll buy both. Like I'll do the individual run and then I'll buy the combined graphic novel. And they both have kind of a different purpose. But there's something about that serial comes out regularly, and this format just feels so good. It just is comic, right? And yes, it takes up a lot of room. Yes, it's getting more and more expensive. He was just telling me, Frank was just telling me from a store company distributor or whatever point of view, floppies are just, the margin on floppies are so small, the profit margins. And so he was like, I can see them like disappearing. And we were talking about the whole thing going on with Diamond Distribution, and how they're on the verge of disappearing. They've just have too much overhead now, and all their shipments are late. All the two big, or the bigger companies like DC, Marvel, Image are all distributing with different other companies. I think he said there's another company called Lunar Distribution Company, and there's a Penguin Books is one of the distributors. But Diamond basically has a few indies, and I can't remember who the other smaller comic book companies distributes with Diamond. So it doesn't look good for them as a distributor. But Frank was saying if they disappear, it's going to be really hard for independent books to get out there. And I told him, I'm like, it's going to be direct market after that point, or it already is, where indie creators just go directly to their audience and skip any kind of distribution or middleman. Like that's the new model, or it's not even that new, but that's kind of the model now that we're going in. And he had mentioned that like he had heard of one store so frustrated with the costs and just the poor service that was at the time distributing DC books or shipping DC books to this comic book store. So he just said like, I'm not going to carry any DC comics anymore because of this distributor they're going through. And Frank and I were like, can you imagine walking into a comic book store and they just have no DC books, no DC floppies on the shelf at all, like out of protest or whatever? It's like, that is crazy. That is a crazy, sad world to live in when you actually walk into a comic book store and you don't see DC comics anymore. Comrade Sammy says, by the way, Rocky, you happy to know that I picked up one of my Sherlock comics the other day. Awesome. I haven't finished it, but don't worry, it'll happen someday. Hey, picking baby steps. As you read it, keep us updated. Let us know who the artists are. Artist, writer, I'd love to know. And publisher of that book. Because I'd love to know. This book must be from the late 70s, early 80s. That's right. Sorry, Mighty Geek Studios, I'm a little late to the chat. Yeah, it was 1975, I believe, is that issue of The Shadow came out, which is amazing. The ads were fun and kept you engaged in the story. Yeah, they were part of the reading experience, and you don't get that with graphic novels with those ads. I mean, I guess you don't get. That was a big part of the revenue, was putting those ads and those floppies in. So if you don't have those ads and that experience, it's just a graphic novel, then you're missing out on that whole entire thing. Coupon. The job offers included art training, writing, drafting, and sometimes architecture. What year was that Shadow comic from? I think it was 75. Did I miss that? Yep, 75. Crazy. That is crazy. Mr. Monkey Boy likes floppies. We're at 100%. 5 votes, 100%. People loving the floppies. Okay, me too. So it's like floppies were popular when kids consumed them on the regular. It's true. Funny you say that. That's what my Sherlock comics are. I do prefer the individual as well. There's something about that format. I love graphic novels. Don't get me wrong. I know that a lot of indie comic creators, to make it more bang for your buck or worth the dollar amount that they have to charge, most of the time they do produce books. The independent books are like thicker than a floppy. I'd say I see more books that are longer than 22 pages or 32 pages, which are kind of the floppy standard number count. I see more than not books that are longer than that. So they're like 64 pages or 96 pages that you buy as the comic. And there's no more floppies than that. And I get that. And I don't know, as like an independent producer, say, for example, if I did a crowdfund or something and produced a comic, if I produced a floppy, like how much could you sell that for it to be worth it for somebody to back? Yeah, so there's a lot more research. I'd love to know what you guys think, but it's like if somebody was doing, I mean, if you were doing, I think the key is if you were doing a floppy crowdfunded thing, you'd have to come out with it regularly, like a monthly book, to make people get hooked into it and worth it, I think. And because of the time it takes to do an independent book and to produce it and ship it and all that, mostly people do like once a year, if you're lucky, you know, at least once a year. And in that case, people waiting that long would hope to get more content, I guess. But if you could figure out some sort of model where you're producing it monthly, maybe you can do a crowdfunded floppy. I don't know. Like this floppy was 25 cents, right? Floppies today, like the Batman and Robin, the Batman and Robin Year One, the G.I. Joe, those are like on average $3.99 to $4.99. So $4, $5. Is that expensive? Yes, but yes. Yes, that is expensive. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It's a really crazy format. It was almost set up to like, it was so undercut before, like get a quarter for a story, great art in a format. You're just paying a quarter. Like even with inflation and going up, we're at $4 or $5 now in 2025. So 50 years, it went from a quarter to $5. That doesn't seem so outrageous. Like it wasn't a huge jump. Yeah, I don't know. It's economics. I think I need to go to LaSalle extension program for economics to figure out what I'm trying to figure out for comic books. Oh my gosh. Mark's Music Obsession says, any physical format is good for me. Just don't care about digital unless it's the only way I can see the book. And I agree. Well, no, that's not say. I don't know enough about digital comics. And I know people can be very successful with digital comics, Mark. I am like you where I need the physical thing to hold. And specifically with comics, like I need to be able to feel the paper, look at the artwork really close. I don't read digital comics or use a digital comics service. Do I see the benefit of it? Absolutely. But I will always pick the physical version and pay more for the physical version just so I can have that in my hand. Depending on the city you live in, the comic shops will showcase indie creators. Yeah, I mean, so all the comic book shops that I go to in the city of San Francisco, they all, for the most part, let me just think. Yeah, they all have racks for independent comics, indie comics. But how they get there, it's always like word of mouth or somebody is a local. And so you're giving, and this was something Frank said, even through a comic distributor like Diamond, as an independent, how many books are stores buying or requesting of your book? Because if you're not part of a big company like Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, IDW, Boom, if you're not part of that, how are you going to get the word out there that about your book? And so at best, he said, stores would order like 4 or 5 copies of your comic. And then how much money, how much profit are you really making on that? And anytime I see any independent book at a local comic book store, they have maybe 2, 3 copies, if that, if not just 1 copy of an independent book. So how much money are you making off of that as an independent? All those stores, the local stores I know of and visit, they do, I think it's pretty standard, they do like a 50-50 split. So if you're selling your book for $4, you get $2 and the store gets $2. Like, that margin is so tiny. So yeah, I don't think that's really a sustainable model just to sell it locally at independent stores. It's a great like add-on. It's a great way of like connecting to your store and building an audience that way, but not making any kind of profit. It's a good showcase, like you said, Mighty Geek Studios. The day she reads the Sherlock, she joined Discord to tell us about it. Nice. 2 goals for 1. Jeffrey Beats says, I love comics, but should we be looking more towards a digital? It's $11 an issue in Australia. Wow, $11 an issue. For a floppy? Goodness gracious. That's expensive. I don't know what's the conversion of American to US dollar? Somebody let me know. But that is a lot of money, $11. That would make me think twice of whether or not I would buy a floppy if it was $11. Like even now with $3 to $4 a book, I'm not quick to buy a whole bunch of books. I am pretty selective. It's also because I'm cheap, but I'm pretty selective about what book I'll buy because it costs that much, and you can easily spend like $20 a week, right? So yeah, but $11, that would make me instantly go, I'll just wait for the graphic novel. How much do graphic novels cost on average, Jeffrey Beats? Let us know. That'd be awesome. The poll says 88% yes, keep floppies, 12% no, 8 votes. Yeah, majority of people love floppies. There's something about the format. It's just, it's a great format. And I'd hate for it to go away. Like when Frank said, who knows how long floppies will be, I was like, no, don't say that. Like, it's collectible. I never feel like graphic novels are collectible necessarily. I don't know why. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. The psychology of it is so weird. All right, said that. Comrade Sammy's checking out. Okay, for Sherlock, the comics writer is Edith Meiser, artist Frank Giacoa. Holy moly. Publisher Dave Albrecht. What is the publishing company? Is it like I doubt it's like, yeah, it must be some book publisher or something. Frank Giacoa. Wow, that guy's a legend. Oh, the artwork must be good. Cranberry Landers passed out. No problem. Cranberry Landers. Any comic over 64 pages isn't considered floppy. I agree. Yeah, that's not a floppy anymore. That's in the graphic novel territory. It's just, how can you make a profit? I think you can tell a story in any length or format, 22 pages or 64 pages, whatever. So that you just kind of have to craft the right story. So I don't think it necessarily affects that. I think it's just, what is your audience willing to pay? What are they willing to wait for? The time period they're willing to wait for it. And how can you make a profit to make it sustainable? Although I did see a post from Rob Liefeld recently saying, if you're trying to get into comics and like make money off of it, like make it profitable, like you were in the wrong business. And this is Rob Liefeld, right? Who's arguably one of the most profitable comic book artists of all time, to have ever done it. For him to say like, you can't make money off of like page rates and all that kind of stuff with comics is like, yeah, it's just, the model of the amount of effort and talent and work that goes into it. It's similar to animation, I'd argue, does not translate to being profitable. Oh, so sad. Emo Trash says, so you are avoiding me, Monsieur Ballesteros? Come on, Emo. You know I'm not avoiding you. I gave you some of my time. Good time. Yeah, we won't go more into that, but yeah, I gave some of you my time. Emo Trash, you know I'm not avoiding you. Great to see you, though. How are you doing? Everybody says, welcome back, Cranberry. Welcome from your nap. Just got out of class, Emo Trash said. And that must have been like half an hour ago, because you probably said this and I hadn't gotten to the chat yet. They also have to accommodate for lessened reader base for the price increase. Yep. Lots goes into that, right? Like shipping, materials. I was just talking to my other friend, and this is kind of related, but kind of not. He's doing like a house reno and talking about the cost of stuff. And he was like, oh, well, is it like demand, and like how much in demand are house renos right now versus the contractors that are available to do it. And if they if their work load is full, they can charge whatever price they want because they don't need the work, right? So if they want to take your job, they can just upcharge because they're like, well, I got to fit it into my schedule and blah, 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 blah. But the other factor I told him was like materials. There's one point where we were doing some renovation stuff and there's like materials of like wood ended up costing, for whatever reason, shipping, blah, 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 charges or went up. This was during COVID. And so they had to raise their prices to sell it higher. So similarly, like with all the trade tariffs, whatever that's going on in the world right now between our country and countries that are printing, I've seen a bunch of articles come out of like comic books are going to get super expensive because a lot of people print their comics in Canada and which is true. But I don't know how it's going to affect prices of comics. Are they going to go up dramatically in a shorter period of time? What's going to happen? So who knows? It's all kind of all intertwined. Somebody with a much higher degree than I have to figure that stuff out. I voted no because I'm a jerk. Alan Lau.
Hey kid.
What?
I'm a computer.
You are a jerk. What's up, jerk? How are you doing, Alan Lau? Alan Lau I'm sure he has you're biased, Alan, because I know Alan's working on his own digital comic, or has been working on his own digital comic. And I think we've got to dive deep into that, Alan. You being willing. I talked to our other friend, Senor Rao. I talked to him, and I would love to have you guys on my stream sometime soon. It would be really fun. It would be like a Ghost Bot reunion. But Alan now's been doing some comic stuff too, and we can talk about that in a stream. It'll be really awesome. And you probably have more experience with, I know you have more experience with digital comics than I do. So he's probably poo-pooing on the floppies because of it. You're biased. Comrade Sammy says, I'd have to agree. Don't think I'd ever read a digital comic. Yeah, there's something. Oops, sorry. Woo, that was crazy. There's just something about the physical touch, physical paper. I mean, it's not just comics for me. It's like books too. There's so many books that I would love to borrow from our library, and for whatever reason, they're all checked out or whatever. But I could just download the digital book and read it. But I'm like, nah, I'll just wait. I need to feel the paper, feel the weight of the book in my hands. I miss comics printed on newsprint. Me too, Mighty Geek Studios. The yellowing of that paper. People mark that as like a downgrade when they grade their comics, but I find it as like a plus if there's like a yellowing in the paper. Read plenty of digital comics. I think digital comics are great for when you're like binging like long series. I think that's great. And you don't have the space to like hold it all or carry it all. I think that's really great. Let's see. Alan's saying hello to people. Everybody, haven't seen you around in a while, Alan. We need to meet up soon. Dollar dues aren't real. $1 US is 1.7. Okay, so almost $2. So what is that? About $6 US for a book. A little bit more pricey than it is here. Yeah, that's expensive. That's pretty expensive. $1 US is like 1.6. There you go. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Okay, I said it wrong. You guys, keeping it real. Usually $50 50 Australian dollars for a trade paperback, which I get 25. I mean, that's $25 on average. No, usually trade paperbacks, I mean, it depends on what trade paperback. On average, I think you can range in America probably around $15 to $25 is kind of the average range, I'd say, for graphic novels. And then depending on thickness, binding, that can alter the price. Declan Shalvey, you guys, I talk about him a lot on stream. He came out with a trade paperback of his Old Dog series, and he sold that for $10. He said on stream he realizes in hindsight he probably should have charged more, but I think because it was an independent title and it was his first independent creator-owned title that he put out there, he charged less. Also, the paper quality was a little bit lower paper quality, not bad, but lower paper quality in my mind. So that's probably why he could afford the lower price. But $10 for a graphic novel in this day and age is super cheap, and that makes me go yoink. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say on average 15 to 25. So for Australia, $50. Yeah, that's on the high end though. That's a lot. That's a lot. By the time you finish Rocky, we'll have a server on Discord. Cran got hit by Rocky's ASMR dulcet voice. That's right. The manga world is addressing this issue. Different size and color format, more pages, normally black and white. I mean, they've been doing black and white for a long time. I remember they have these like phone book manga digests that would come out, and they would be on like the crappiest paper. It's like kind of pink colored paper sometimes, but you would get like 200 pages of content, which was pretty incredible, but it would disintegrate after a few months. So yeah, there's that approach, but more often than not, manga is black and white. And that's probably, they leverage the amount of time and cost to print in color by increasing the page count on their artwork and just going black and white. That's kind of smart. And I love how at times, or a lot of times in those digests you buy, they'll put in a few color pages at the beginning. They did this for Tank Chair. I showed you guys when we looked at Tank Chair. They'll do a few color pages at the beginning and you're like, wow. And then they'll just do the rest black and white, and your mind kind of fills in the color for that. So that's kind of cool. Kind of sucks for colorists, but as far as a job, but that's kind of cool. So yeah. All right, let's see. Prepping for Pizza Live, good thinking. American Discord, what's up, Shelby? Rob is right and wrong at the same time on most things. Who's Rob? What are we talking about here? Rob Liefeld. Oh my gosh, I'm so behind it. He's right and wrong at the same time on most things. Yeah, I could see that. And I know you have direct experience with that. So yeah, I could see that. I'm just trying to think but there's definite truth to what he's saying as far as people who want to be like a standard comic book artist or a comic book artist that works for the big companies. Like, it's hard unless you are a rock star or one of the top artists to really, or you work super fast to make a decent living on that, on the rates that they give. I'll totally read that comic. It means beating Rocky at something. Start reading. Is that a trait of strength? Oh, yes. Okay, sorry. I'm so off. All right. Surprise, surprise, guys. Here we go. I'm going to call this stream the My Wednesday Comics Reading My Mind algorithm stream or something, because this was another one I found at a random used bookstore that is only open on Thursdays and Fridays. But I saw this on the shelf and I'm like, could this be the run that I think it is? Booyah. some amazing pages in here, but let me just fast forward really quick and you guys will get it. Does that look familiar to anybody? This is actually a horrible scan of this page. It's really munchy, super like, and I know I'm zoomed in, so it's kind of digitized here, but it's really, it's almost like, here, let me get the black and whites. Where is the, yes. So like, this is the black and white blown up scan of this page that I found on the internet, which I already knew was like a bad scan. But you could see, like, you know, does it look munchy already? Yes, but you can kind of see what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But then for this to be the printed version, and probably like whatever plates they used or however they printed this reprint of this series, it was not well done. But look how, like, it's just like a blob of black right here. And any kind of brush strokes or fine line brush strokes, like in her hair, you can't even see any of the details in her hair. Here you can see it in that horrible scan, but you can see, like, you know, there's variation there. There's brush strokes. Here it's just a big blob of black. So I was kind of bummed about that, and it might just be this printing of it. But the interesting thing for you guys who are observant is I was always under the impression, after we went down this road of the page, the Nick Fury page, the Steranko page, and the like redo of these two panels, that they had to edit it for print, where they changed it because like it was too salacious or too explicit. So they changed these two panels, remember? And those are the panels that I'm doing on the master study, where the phone's off the hook and then it's like the calisthenic pose of Nick Fury and Contessa in this. They replaced it with this close-up on the gun. So I thought that was how it went to print, but then this version here has the ones that I'm doing for this panel, but it has the phone on the hook for this panel. So I was so confused. I was like, how many different versions of this page has it gone through? Like the different printings, like how many times did they edit it? Did the editor edit this page? Kind of crazy, right? So yeah, it was, this was printed in this was printed in 2000. The original came out in 1968. This print was in 2000, but I don't know how many versions of this compilation there is out there. Yeah, Larry Hama did the intro here in 2000, but anyway, really interesting, but just funny that, hey, I'm working on this page for the master study, and sure enough, I found this out in a random used bookstore. Pretty cool. But it's great because now I have context to what happens, and I can see what Steranko was doing at the time, not just that one page, but at the time, what he's doing. So it's good. I was really excited to find this. When I looked at it, I'm like, could the issue that I'm doing this master study be in here? And sure enough, there it was. So let's flip through it really quick. I love, I want to say that because Larry Hama did the intro, and I haven't read his intro, but I'm pretty sure he's really influenced by this stuff, because these kind of panels, I don't know how common it was at the time that somebody would do like silent panels, but Larry Hama is really famous and really known for his writing and his artwork on G.I. Joe. And he did that issue for G.I. Joe called Silent Interlude, which is Snake Eyes. And this reminds me of his Snake Eyes silent interlude stuff. So I feel like he must have been really influenced by Steranko, particularly this kind of work, that he injected it into the silent interlude. I'm just guessing. Steranko's colors are always really interesting, really crazy and different and kind of psychedelic. And speaking of paper, like this is kind of a matte, a little thicker matte paper, which is nice. There's no reflection. Makes the colors look different too. Printing on matte versus glossy. Like, I can't imagine how vibrant these colors would be. I mean, they're already pretty poppy and crazy right now on this matte paper, but I can imagine how bananas it would be if it was on glossy paper. And probably, I'm guessing that the artist that picked, as they were doing colors, they must have known the paper quality that their stuff was being printed on. So most of the stuff, like when this came out originally in the 60s, was on newsprinty quality paper, not the greatest quality paper. And so I feel like they picked colors that were really vibrant because they knew when it was going to be printed on newsprint, it would like dull out a little bit. But now with our modern printing press, trying to keep the same colors, it's just like, wow, like totally bright and crazy. But I love it. I really love it. But like this stuff is like, wow. Like burn your eyeballs out. Shelby says, I just dropped $2K at the shop on my car, but could be worse. Oh gosh. I thought you were going to say $2K at the comic book store. Yeah, $2K. I actually just did some car work on my car too, and it was not that expensive, but it was pricey. A pretty penny. This is fun stuff. So good. And Steranko would do all these wild, like experimental kind of things. This stuff. It's so good. That's a great page. Here we go. Check it out, Comrade Sammy. My algorithm is spilling into your algorithm. Who we got here? Frank Giacoa. So you just said he was the artist on your Sherlock books. Well, he's the inker on the Steranko stuff. There we go. So I can't remember who I was talking to. Was it Mighty Geek Studios last stream when or the Master Study stream? Saying like this is like probably near a pool, but there's no context here. I don't think that's a pool there. No context before and after. I was hoping it would like let us know. The dialogue says about 2 hours later at Fury's New York pad, which is what made me think like it was indoors. I could be wrong. And there's nothing afterwards, so didn't really give us more information. This is awesome. Love this character design. Love Nick Fury with this like headgear. It's great. Dinosaurs by Steranko. It's great stuff. I love this kind, like this crazy technique. I love this kind of stuff. Eisner did this really well, where like incorporating the text, the hand-drawn letter with the storytelling. But just the use of negative space here. This is an awesome spread right now. Right here. Yeah, he's just, he's kind of like a mad scientist a little bit, I feel like Steranko. Just tried so many different things. Like just kept pushing the boundaries of storytelling, printing, techniques, like storytelling tools. Here we go. We're back at his pad again. More kissy kissy. Like this crazy geometric, what the heck? Yeah, those colors. Yeah, Steranko just gives this feeling of like it's like Kirby mixed with Eisner mixed with Kirby mixed with Eisner. Yeah. I think this is the cover of that issue that we're doing the master study from, I think. Or was it? No, this is the one, number 2. So shall ye reap death. Pretty awesome. It's a great little compilation here. You did, and then I wondered if you'd be avoiding me after that. Decide to stream on one of the 2 days of the week I have a class at night right after that class had started. I'm not avoiding you, human trash. I wouldn't do that. All right, let me catch up here. Emo is rage drawing in class. Coincidence? The evidence says otherwise. Materials for contractor work this year have gone up this year. Yep. Hashtag Alan is a jerk. Yep, he sure is. Once the economy gets out of flux, you'll have better luck in pricing. You hope. Rocky wants to get fit. Weird. A coffee and a monster is clearly not enough. Nice cover. Who did it? Oh man, I'm so behind. The shadow cover was Kubert. This cover is Steranko. Let me know if I'm answering your question. Someone shared an absolute Batman digital of the high seas. The high seas. Yellowed paper is a downgrade in printing quality, a positive in aesthetic emotional value. Yes, agreed. Digital comics, it's a format. Here we go. Alan Lau saying it's a format thing. Scrolling on a phone is so easy and convenient. Digital comics are best when the art and storytelling are catered towards that specific vertical scrolling format. Yes, I think for sure you have to see it as a totally different thing than a printed book, and how you read it is true. I wouldn't call it easy and convenient though. The Australia folk I know make about 75 USD an hour for their wage. So if you're paying $50 for a graphic novel and you're making $75 an hour, yeah, that's not great. Floppy comics don't work as well on digital because you're trying to force beautiful page layouts into a vertical scroll. Yep, that's why I don't like it. Shipping too. Yep. Oh man, I'm so behind. Dollary dues aren't real, but could be one day. It's a cost thing ultimately. Japan somehow manages to keep it cheap. Is it the paper or lack of color? I think it's both. And I think it's labor. And how fast they churn that stuff out, and quantity, how many they're selling at a time. I'm sure their numbers are way way off the charts compared to how much average American comic books sell. So yeah, it's all of those things. Cranberry Lander says, Alan Lau, they have normal sized oriented digital comics too. Yes. Maybe white Nick Fury can fight black Nick Fury, and then Don Asian Nick Fury takes them both down. You should be a writer, awesome one. Dollary dues is part of the lingo, like someone saying bucks. Yes. I always hear a didgeridoo when somebody says dollary dues. So there's that. When Rob gives advice, it's not always in pursuit of helping others. Oh my goodness. That guy. Manga been around for decades, so I'm sure they cost of said papers cheaper. It's in less demand as there are so many manga. Yeah. There are web comics, though, which are usually more vertically oriented. Yeah, and it depends if you're reading it on the phone or reading it on your desktop, on an iPad. All those kind of format changes, I know they affect like digital media in general. Like when you work on social media, it's like, well, are you posting this for Instagram? Are you posting this for X? Are you posting this for Facebook? Are you posting this for TikTok? Like, there's too much. Hashtag Rocky Knows Comics. My random comics with Rocky, Super Distracted Ballesteros. That's too long, John. That's too long. My Wednesday Comics is already too long of a title. Justice for the Gun. It got edited out again. That's a terrible scan, right? Really bad. I want this. Jeffrey Beats says, was this comic drawn on a 3x5 card? Yes. Terrible scan, but you've got the actual issue. So that's cool. I don't have the actual issue. I mean, I have this, but I don't have the actual issue of the one that I did. I've just found some good scans of pieces of it. But I was hoping when I bought this that I would have a better image of it, but it's really bad. But then there's some images here that are really good too. Like this is great. This is a great. Maybe the original looks even better. And I was really hoping that my Nick Fury Artisan edition had this issue, the issue that I'm doing the master study in it, but it doesn't. Because those are great scans. Looks like a copy of a copy, exactly. Shelby doesn't like to teach, only likes when you buy his art. Get the S.H.I.E.L.D. Omnibus. Which one? Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I'll look if I can find one that has that's open. A lot of times when you see omnibuses in stores, they're shrink wrapped. But I'll see if I can find one that has a nice scan of that actual page. But I don't feel like I just said this, but I don't feel like all the pages are that bad of a scan. Maybe I just don't have a reference to it, but yeah, these pages look good. Who knows? It was Mighty Geek Studio says it was edited to get approved by the Comics Code Authority. Yes, but multiple times it seems like, because there's this phone. The other version of the phone I have is this. See? That one's off the hook. I mean, literally off the hook. That phone. And it's different from this. But then it has this. But it's this. And then they put this like zipatone here. So like, it seems like it went through a number of edits. Really weird. The mystery continues. Shelby says, I've worked with Liefeld for about 30 years, John. I know his Jedi mind tricks. Shelby just did a project with, just released, right, Shelby? You want to drop that in the link for a Rob Liefeld book? I believe Marat Michaels, one of the Image Extreme Studios OGs, did the penciling, and then you did or did you do all the art? I don't remember, but I saw that, and whenever that becomes available, I want to grab it. That's great. That's so awesome. Drop the link if there is one. Emo Trash, wake up. She's awake. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Yeah. This is like watching very similar episodes of Looney Tunes with the same ideas. Like watching very similar episodes of Looney Tunes with the same. Rocky is more interesting than the symbolist movement, so I'm awake now. I'll take that as a compliment. There's probably 3, yes, many versions. Jeffrey Beats says, gotta bounce. Bye from Oz. I will watch the rest of the show later. Thanks for the show. Thanks, Jeffrey Beats. Hit that like as you go. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate all your input and your Australian POV. Love it. These days, people were born after 2000 will understand what a rotary phone is, so it all works out. That's right. All right, let me catch up. We still got more to get through. What's this link for, Mr. Monkey Boy? I missed it. I gotta look at it later. I got huge news about G.I. Joe, Rocky Balboa Stress. We'll tell more when my NDA. What? Shut up. You can tell us. We won't share it. Just tell us. I know plenty of dial-up internet because it's been a common thread in many in the old tales told by your family. There's this thing called dial-up. There's a Spider-Man book that was published with a seal of approval because the government asked Stan to do it. Oof. We will find out. Apparently we will find out soon, awesome one, if Shelby is a G.I. Joe artist. Okay. Let's K. Jacoa, worst inker ever? Really? Was he really that bad? I like Joe Sinnott. Sinnott was one of my favorite inkers of that time. Really? Was Jacoa that bad? I haven't looked closely. All right. 738 Rocky's behind the chat, even by Rocky standards. I'm totally behind. I'm jumping here. And you guys can look at what this next one is. I lost my copy. And this was actually the same version. I know this has been printed a number of times, different version, but this was the same print run or print version that I had because I have the same exact cover and over. Fantastic cover by Alan Davis. Look, I got it for $5. The Batman Year Two, but we'll look at this in a second. I have been super distracted. I'm sorry. For a secret organization, they sure wear ostentatious clothing. That's right. This is a spy story. I like the art. I do dig the lettering, which does give a version feeling when mixed with the illustration. I love how lettering. I love when artists really spend the time. Shant does this great on his work. Kevin Nolan's another artist that does this. A lot of like the old masters. A lot of the old masters do like the art. The lettering was part of the art and would incorporate it. Will Eisner does this, and so I love it when people do that. You don't see it that much this day and age of people spending that time to make the lettering part of the storytelling. So yeah, I love that. Space cover is best. Looks great. All right, I'm all sorts of behind. That's Rocky. Catch up tomorrow evening. Don't worry. There is 2 paths. Groomsman always takes the third one. I do. I'm a rebel. Digital comics operate more like a reel than a book in a sense. Yeah, it's not for me. When I have to do all like hand motions to read it, as opposed to just turning the page and I have to like zoom in or like flip, it's not me. Digital comics specifically have different formatting. There's a difference between web comics and digital comics. Web comics are often in vertical format. Digital is just the delivery method for the comics themselves. Yep. Paper versus rock. All right, and jumping. Easily confused, but not the same thing. I'm a fan of digital and web comics. Cranberry loves them all. Shelby will be on Jason's stream. All right, all digital comics can be vertical or horizontal. Web comics are mostly vertical. Yes. Giacoa always did Kirby dirty. All Right. Yes. Does Batman finally become the villain he clearly wants to? He's holding a gun. Well, both the front and back cover of the Batman Year 2 book look great. All right, I'm getting close here. I love the blades. Yeah, this character, the Reaper. I don't know if he's called the Grim Reaper or the Reaper. I think it was just the Reaper. But so this blew my mind. Here, we're getting into it. This blew my mind as a kid because this is 1990. And this was where McFarlane was like starting to take off, starting to get noticed. And to pair him up on one story with Alan Davis, who already was one of the top artists out there, for them to kind of tag team on this story was amazing for me as a kid to see. I for sure was more of a McFarlane fan than a Davis fan at this point. So, but I loved Alan Davis' work. And actually looking at this, speaking of bad print, this is kind of a bad print too. It looks like a print of a print of a print. But this was the same one I had, so I'm assuming this is how it was when I saw it. Just trying to look at what... This is first printing of this. And I don't know how the individual issues printed, but this looks like, yeah, a little muddy with the lines. This is a cool character. Hello, cat. You need to get out? All right, give me 1 second. All right. Is this an X crossover comic? No. Gotta bounce. See you next time. See you later, Alan. I see an X crossing out the bat. Yeah, it's his two blades. He like slashed him across the chest. Batman embraces what it truly means to truly being a dark knight. X was kind of like Grendel and Punisher. Did I just hear you say you're a rebel, Rocky? Yes. Yeah. Rocky's chat dial-up finally downloaded. All right. Alan, ciao, Alan. Good evening. Thanks to you and your fellow firemen. So, Cranberry. Alan Lau is not a fireman. That's my friend Marty. Alan Lau is an artist. He's an animator artist. He's one of my former partners at our studio. These are great panels. Great, awesome Alan Davis work. Yeah, I loved his design. I don't know who did the original design. I'm assuming Alan Davis did. But then check this out once McFarlane gets his hands on it. This is McFarlane stuff. So he is inked by Alfredo Alcala, who's a Filipino comics artist. I've talked about him briefly before on stream. Really good artist. Almost too good to just be an inker behind some of these people, but I think he was just doing the job and just working. But he's like an incredible pen and ink artist on his own right. Like he doesn't need to just, not to downplay being an inker, but he should have been like a full-blown penciler inker, but I know he did just inking for a lot of books. So he's inking McFarlane's stuff on here on this first issue. And you can still see the McFarlaneisms for sure in it, but with Alcala on top of it, it feels a little different, feels a little bit more brushy, old school. I don't know if it's the right term. But McFarlane was already building some of his own comics vocabulary in this work at this point. This is before he got onto Spider-Man. But look at his Reaper. It's really cool. It's a little bit more stylized. And his Batman, like, knowing his work on Spawn and just how he drew, like, Spawn's cape was just, like, folds for miles. It's kind of cool to see him already starting to do that on his Batman. Look at that. That's really cool. I just loved it. I loved his stylization of Batman on this. And this is a classic McFarlane panel right here. A cover. This cape folded over. This is McFarlane Smoke. And Alcala's still inking him on this issue. But like Batman's cape's getting bigger and bigger. A lot more folds and stuff like this. Yeah, this I remember loving this as a kid. And then like these kind of like hatch marks here was very much like an Alcala stuff. It's like brushy techniques. But then the last issue, this one, chapter 4, McFarlane does both his own pencils and inks. And this was just like, here we go. Like, this is the McFarlane that appears in Spider-Man, that's drawing Spider-Man, that starts drawing, starts like hitting his stride in like his Spider-Man work and then eventually Spawn, but when he's inking his own stuff. So it's kind of a cool thing to see same artist, same penciler, but with different inks, inking himself and being inked by a masterful inker, how different they can feel and look. It's great. Like this Reaper looks really scary. I mean, Alan Davis's Reaper was scary too, but in a different way. Yeah, in a different way. Just capes. This is great. That's great. Classic McFarlane face here. It's awesome. Look at the size of that Batman cape. Holy cow. Like, he'd be tripping all over that if he was static. But it's just, this is just like Spawn's cape right there. It's amazing. So it's so cool. It's cool to run into this again because it just brought back so many memories of, it was right where I was like totally discovering McFarlane and realizing like, oh my gosh, who is this artist? And then already in love with what Alan Davis had done and was familiar with his work. And then on a Batman story with a very cool villain. Yeah, it was cool. It's a cool compilation. They've released this Batman Year 2. I think they have a new printing that they just came out with that compiles both Batman Year 1 and Year 2 together. I haven't looked through it. But I'll be curious if I see that in a store, I'll flip through it to see what the printing quality is, because this does feel like a print of a print of a print, but it is first printing for this. And this is the version that I had. So I'm curious if that's just the way that it's going to be, that it looks, or if they have a better quality print now, for the newer version. Batman Year 2. Okay, let's see. Right, now I got to catch up again. Wow, I fell behind once more. Kitty comes first. Yep. That's right. It's been a while since I've seen Marty. That's right. Yeah, I just saw Marty this morning. I saw two friends this morning, and Marty was one of them. He's doing great. I haven't had him on stream for a while. I should, but yeah, he's doing great. I see Marty a lot, so. Speaking of cats, mine requires dinner. All right, Rocky, will you wrap in 30 minutes? Yes, I will. I got one more book to look at. Gotta let us get ready for Pizza Live. Okay, I will, John. I will. I told you I will not infringe on Shanth's Pizza Live. So apologies to Marty. That compliment goes to Marty. Good evening, guest. No problem. Watched the show today about Iceland. They ate fermented shark. Ooh, that sounds horrible. I believe the last time we saw Marty was when Rocky was giving us a tour of San Francisco. That's right. Great memory, Comrade Sammy. That was the last time you saw Marty. You can always tell when Todd McFarlane drew Batman. You could. Yeah. I don't know how many more times he did draw Batman, but I can't remember outside of this story what other Batman stuff he's done. But yeah, I know he's done like pinups and stuff like that, but I love this version of him. It's like part Spawn, part Batman. It's really great. Was this Batman cape a precursor for the Spawn? Yes, it must have been, for sure. And I think that, I know that he had some old versions of Spawn, really old versions, before he even got discovered as a comic book artist. And he was already doing the cape big. But I think this one, he just kept pushing it and pushing it. And I even feel like between this version that was inked by Alcala and then his version here, I think he just kept like adding more triangle folds. It's so cool. Like, who cares that cape does not function with normal physics? Like, that is the coolest Batman thing ever. It's really cool. McFarlane, man, he was the king of cool with his stuff. So some fantastic panels. It's great. Really good. Todd McFarlane made Batman's silhouette look scary. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I love what both of these artists, this is Alan Davis who did this cover, but I love what both of them bring to it. Like his Batman, Alan Davis's Batman was more like a manta ray, scary, still scary looking. And McFarlane's was more graphic and silhouetted. And then same with the Reaper. Their treatment of the Reaper is different. All right, let's see. Batman's full page looks amazing. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Quick, say something emo, so Rocky can respond. Spawn Batman, absolutely. Chat Ninja, Sean popped in. Bonsoir. Hello. Burp. I got you. We don't need physics where we're going. That's right. If physics gets in the way of fashion, then it becomes entirely irrelevant. I caught up. All right, last book. Here we go. This is a fun one. So this is the book that I found in Frank's store. Let me zoom out here a little bit. Found in Frank's store. And it's what I feel like he either purposely was watching my stream when I was talking about the like Marvel graphic novel stuff or what. So this is like in the same line, same thinking, same publishing world as like Futurians, like I showed you guys, Star Slammers. I've looked at those books on stream before. The Thing and the Hulk, Big Game, or is it Big Game or Big Change? I think it's Big Game. But anyway, so these like graphic novels that came out in the 90s. This one was published, 80s and 90s. This is published in 85. And why this one is so amazing and special is because Mark Silvestri, one of Image co-founders, and this was before he got onto his Uncanny X-Men run. I think he was just starting off as an artist, and he's inked by Jeff Isherwood, he's a decent inker, written by David Michelinie, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. But yeah, this was a graphic novel that Mark Silvestri drew called Revenge of the Living Monolith, which had a bunch of the standard Marvel heroes in it. But this one's really cool because this is early Silvestri, but you can already see what made his work looked so cool, and what, you know, where his artwork would go once he got onto X-Men and his own stuff, Cyberforce, Witchblade, all that kind of stuff. But he was trying to do the Marvel graphic novel style, so I'm pretty sure he saw Brent Anderson's work on God Loves, Man Kills, and Jim Starlin's work on The Death of Captain Marvel. Like, he was looking at all that stuff at the time and trying to fit in and try and be part of this Marvel graphic novel world. But his Silvestri-isms were already coming out. So, talk about smell too. This one smells like it's been in a garage for decades. It's got that like musty garage smell. I kind of love it. It's just like old comic books. You can't get that with digital comic books. So kind of cool, like, to see early Silvestri work. Like this kind of expressions here feel very Mark Silvestri. He's already, you know, a great artist. Like, this is good art. But it's not peak Silvestri by any stretch of the imagination. It's still fun. There's a lot of appeal, a lot of great character posing, you know, pretty clear storytelling that he's doing, action storytelling. This feels like totally like a Silvestri face that's not figured out yet. But he could draw the ladies for sure. And he loves this like 3/4 up angle. It's very Silvestri. Yeah, there's stuff still not totally worked out there, but it's funny. Living Monolith, it's not that popular of a Marvel villain. I don't know if he's existed outside of this graphic novel. I don't know that much about him. It's cool, She-Hulk. And I feel like this story is just his opportunity to draw a bunch of different popular Marvel characters, like the Fantastic Four, She-Hulk, Captain America. It's fun. I remembered unfolding that Batman cake and finding it didn't look like the Batman cape. And finding it didn't look like the Batman cape. Really irritating. It's only Todd McFarlane could make a 6 foot back bat look real. Physics getting in the way of cloths. That's comics. I love it. I always pick more exaggerated stuff over super realistic comics. And I love things that lean more of that exaggerated stuff. It's always, I've said this many times, it's always a fine line. Like, how do you dial up that realism to make it believable and exciting and not too stylized where you can't relate to, or too abstract, but not be so realistic where it feels boring. And I think that dial is different for each artist. Here's Living Monolith. The Living Monolith. Monolith. That's awesome, J. Jonah. That's cool. It's funny because I seem to be like on this collection now of these graphic novels. I love that they're numbered too. So even though they have nothing to do with each other, they're the same format and they're all numbered like from 1 to whatever they made it to. So you feel like it's like a collection. And we were even talking, Frank and I were talking of like $6.95 at the time. So this was 1985, right? Did I see that? $6.95, $7. That's a lot of money for the time, but think of it now. Like this is almost the cost of a floppy now. And look at the quality and the size and format that you got. It's awesome. It's cool. That's great stuff right here. There's like some Buscema in there feeling. I think that a lot of that has to do with the inker on Silvestri. I feel like Silvestri loved drawing She-Hulk too. He drew her really well. Anyway, there you go. Return of the Living Monolith. Marc Silvestri. If you're a fan of Marc Silvestri, recommend it. It's just fun to see the beginnings of his career and kind of where he started off from and where he was going. A lot of similarities. Definitely feels like his work, but having a different inker like Jeff Isherwood, and then also being early on his career, didn't hit the sweet spot that he got to with Uncanny X-Men, in my opinion. But it's really fun to just kind of see it from here. I don't like the musty smell, but I do like the ink and paper smell. I'll take Rocky sniffing a garage comic over Biden sniffing a child any day. Yikes. Just imagine how great it was hanging with this dude with a stack of comics and art supplies. I'm so glad people get to see what a great guy Rocky is. Can we get him monetized? Thanks, Sean. Yeah, I would just be in Sean's room just smelling on his books. It was really fun. It's like a comfy blanket. Hopefully soon, Shant, I will be the first paid member immediately in Mark's Music Obsession. You're the best. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for wanting to be that. I hope you don't regret it. We'll make it worth your while. I promise you that. I think the Pharaoh who was who Apocalypse was before he became Apocalypse. I mean, I know Apocalypse has that Egyptian backstory, and they really played that up in like the movies and eventually in the books. But yeah, I don't know if there's a direct connection between him and Apocalypse. Maybe. I don't know enough. Cranberry Landers doesn't prefer the must. It is nostalgic. I'll take it over the children sniffing. Oh gosh. That page with the guy becoming the living monolith rocks. Yeah, that's a great spread. It's great. That's just comics right there. So it's like ridiculous and amazing and awesome and dramatic, and it's awesome. This language right here, this transformation, like what you're calling out, Cranberry, it's like, oh yeah, we get it. We understand what's happening here, but this is comics language right here. This is a guy transforming into that. There's so many, I mean, it'll be subject or a discussion for another stream, but like the things that we take for granted or that we just know intuitively because we have been exposed to comics, when you think about it and you sit back and like dissect it, it's like looking at hieroglyphics and like figuring out how they were communicating with each other. It's pretty amazing. It's really amazing. And that's what makes comics so unique. That this moment is a transformation moment, and we see it because of this multiple imagery right here. And we get it. You totally get it. And It's like when you talk about the principles in animation and talk about the Nine Old Men and Disney. They figured out these principles that, like anticipation and overshoot and secondary action, all these kind of things that we get and you learn about when you're studying animation. But they had to figure the art of that out and then teach people how to do that. And similar with comic book language, storytelling language, it's incredible. It's a great subject. Let's see. I will be actually taking off, though. I won't be making it to Pizza Live, Shant, but have a great evening, everyone. Have a great evening, Cranberry. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your input. Thank you for your love of comics. Thank you for being part of this chat. Everybody's starting to eat dinner, and I'm going to wrap it up soon. Rocky could launch a second channel doing comic ASMR. That would probably get me to 500 subscribers faster. Yeah, but I won't do that. I won't do that to you guys. It'd be embarrassing. His voice turning the pages, sniffing the comics, he's already got the works. God bless you. Sammy read my mind or stomach. I also had barbecue and mashed potatoes. Awesome. We're all part of the algorithm, the food algorithm with one another. When Cranberry Langer shows back up, no more greeting, only one per customer per stream. That's John's rules. Let's see. All right. I think I caught up. All right. There we go. There we go. That's the weirdest. No, it's not the weirdest, but that is one of the most mishmash My Wednesday comics that we've had in a while. And also my brain, I felt like, was a little mishmashed, but that's okay. You guys can handle it. You can handle it. And we got to see some amazing things here. Some very nostalgic, fun things to explore here. I am behind on the master study. It's ready. I'm ready and prepped to go for inking, but I don't know. I don't think I will be able to get to it before. I think it's going to have to start next Monday. I wanted to start it this past Monday, but it just got crazy. So I've got to kind of be better about getting that time set aside to start that master study, to start that inking. It's going to be really fun, and just getting to see the actual page in context that didn't really give me context was cool. It gave me a little fuel of like, okay, yes, you're meant to do this page because check it out. Here's the comic. So you can actually read the comic and get the story behind it. So that's really good. It didn't give me more details in the artwork, as you guys saw, because that printing was really bad. But that's okay. That's okay. We're going to get to that stream and I mean, get to that master study, and we will make it look awesome. And it's been a while since I've inked anything, so I can't wait to get back to it. But so yeah, that'll be the next thing up, and I've got to get to editing some edited content, not just live stream content. Hello, words, speak. Because a few friends of mine who have checked out the channel, or just good friends, they were like, oh yeah, I love that one video that you were doing when you were dissecting the blah, 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 blah. And that was a great blah, blah moment and it just made me go, like, I haven't done that in a while. I'm behind on edited content, and partially because most of the live stream content gets more engagement, which is great because we're pushing towards 500. And the edited content does take more time to do, but I really feel like it's fun for me to dissect that kind of stuff, and it's valuable content to put out there. So I'm challenging myself to get more on it, that and the master study. So hopefully the next week we'll get into a better rhythm. Sorry for the spotty streaming this week and last, but we'll get better at it, and we will push towards the 500 Mark, 6:24 my time, John. I did it. I'm giving you guys a good half hour to prep before Shant starts his pizza live stream. Somebody throw that in the chat. Please check out Shant's Pizza Live and have a fun watch party with him tonight. Should be awesome. I hope I can catch some of it. I'll try and catch some of it. So, but if I don't see you guys there, go check it out. Go check out his TeePublic site. He's selling some new t-shirt designs. And just give the man love. Love my brother, Shant, and you'll have a fun time on his channel, as you guys know. You seemed a little addled, Rocky. You even interrupted yourself to introduce yourself. I did. It was one of those days. By the way, Rocky, the publisher of the Sherlock comics, Eternity Comics. Okay, thank you, Comrade Sammy. Yeah, that's a known brand, a known publisher. So thank you. Thanks for that information. Eternity Comics, Frank Jacoa, Sherlock Comics. I'm really curious now what they look like. I'm gonna Google it before after I get off of here. Let's see. Did I miss anything else? People starting to say goodbye. Getting ready for Pizza Live. Darn it, Sammy! You do not have eternity to read the Sherlock. Yeah, read the first one, Comrade Sammy, before next stream. I'll give you. Got 5 days before the next stream, probably 4 days. Today's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, 3.5, 4 days maybe. So that's homework. Read that first Sherlock comic. Let us know how it is. I just realized he's even got yesterday's date on the stream. You know what? I did that on purpose because I want it to line up with a Wednesday so that in the future when people look back, they'll go, oh yeah, that was on a Wednesday. Otherwise, if in the future people look back and it's off, then they're going to question how honest I am. I think you guys are going to forget in an hour that I wrote the wrong date on there. But I think in the future, people will care. That's why. 13 of them. All right. John posted a link. What is this? Is this Shant's link? Let me click. Yes. Thank you for the link, John. There it is. John dropped the link for Pizza Live. Guys, check it out. Pizza Live. You don't even have the first comic. Oh, goodness. It's okay. Read the second one. Read the first one in your batch. Rocky's just off. Shall we have a poll? No, I'm going to end it now. All right, guys. Get some dinner or whatever, dessert. Some of you already had dinner. Get ready for Pizza Live. Hopefully I'll see you there. If I don't make it, I will catch you next time. Thank you so much for being here. I always, 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 always appreciate all of you. And I enjoy catching up with you and talking about comics. It's awesome. My name is Rocky Ballesteros. Hit that like, subscribe. I will catch you guys later. See you later. Bye-bye.